because of the experience with Ebola, which I'm sure we'll also come on to.
Yes.
I think this was a government and a Prime Minister that was very concerned about potential pandemics and about dangerous pathogens and about things like antimicrobial resistance and all the rest of it. So we weren't backward in thinking about it, but it still comes back to this issue. Why so much time was spent on a flu pandemic and not so much on these others. Much more time was spent on pandemic flu and the dangers of pandemic flu rather than on potential pandemics of other more respiratory diseases like COVID turned out to be. And
yes.
I think this is so important because so many consequences follow from that. And I've been sort of wrestling with, well, why, I think the architecture was good. National Security Council, National Security Advisor, the risk register, and also this new security risk assessment, which was perhaps a bit more dynamic. But that's what I keep coming back to is so much time was spent on a pandemic influenza, and that was seen as the greatest danger, and we've had flus, we had very bad years for flus, so it is a big danger, but why wasn't more time and more questions asked about what turned out to be the pandemic that we faced? And it's very hard to answer why that's the case, and I'm sure this public inquiry is going to spend a lot of time on that. Well, I think it was a mistake not to look at, repeating myself slightly, not to look more at the range of different types of pandemic. My reaction to reading Hein was, like many of the other reports, it doesn't mention the potential for asymptomatic transmission, and so, when you think what would be different if more time had been spent on a high infectious asymptomatic pandemic, different recommendations would have been made about what was necessary to prepare for. That's what I think is my focus.